Very good afternoon to you. It is Gene from Mavstar Observatory, and yes guys, we have all but there arrived at the 40-degree mark. I don't think anybody is going to argue over less than half a mile. We're there, and we are now entering uncharted territory. As you can see, the 40-degree mark and the current day's pin, and based on those experiments that we have done, which suggest that when we enter the weak field lines, which is what the 40-degree mark represents, we should see, an uptick in the progressive movement of the magnetic North Pole, albeit it should be accelerating at this point. It's currently, in the last half a month, or since the first of this month, travelled 3.16 miles. It's pretty much doing what it did, the previous half a month. Same. We're averaging about 6.2 miles or thereabouts every month now, and we're at a point where the magnetic North Pole is all but marginally moving faster than it ever has done in the last 120 years. And like I say, it's uncharted territory now, where and what will happen next. We have never recorded data of any previous magnetic pole migration. We don't really know the science and the mechanisms behind it all, because it is all just theoretical. Even whatever generates the core in the earth is theoretical. We have tried to experiment to produce the dynamo effect that generates our magnetosphere and our dipoles, the north and south poles, and failed. We've never created a magnetosphere in any experiment, in any laboratory, in any university successfully. I have to keep reminding people that nobody knows about this is going on. Largely 98% of the world's population are completely unaware, and they don't realise the serious effects of where we are at this current point in time. Never mind what happens after this point. It's bad enough already. 25% of our protective shield has declined to this point in time already, and we could be at a very pinnacle point where things dramatically start to change at this point, based on those experiments that we've conducted. We've arrived at a date that we pretty much estimated we would arrive at 3 years ago, and we're here today. And by the time we make the next pinpoint position of the magnetic North Pole in 17 or so days, we will have surpassed the 40-degree mark. I just want to reiterate the importance of what where we are, and what another person who's following this stuff and who's also doing research, what Robert said. It was during the last migration of the magnetic poles, based on lava flow core samples, that it was noted that the magnetic poles flipped somewhere in between the 40 and 45 degree mark. So the poles had migrated between 40 and 45 degrees before they flipped. We're in that corridor right now. And as we have done, closely monitored this for you, we will continue to do that, because I believe today we've reached a milestone, and it is backed up now by other scientific bodies around the world. The conclusions of their experiments are concurring with ours, to this point in time. We're probably doing a better job than a lot of the bigger organisations with regards to this. I don't believe that they are monitoring it at a 3-second resolution like we are, and that is only because, you know, I think it is absolutely necessary to do that, because for the first time in human history we are recording it at a high resolution, so we miss not even a single squeak. And at the same time, you guys get to be a fly on the wall as we do this at this observatory for you.
All right, folks, it's another live stream. We have some interesting data to look at today. But before I dive into exactly this data here, I'm just going to give it just a little bit more time and play with this singing bowl that my apartment has, which is nice. But this is the most unusual Schumann resonances data that I have ever seen out of the space observing system. This is out of Tomsk, Russia, and I can pull up Google Earth right here. Why not? I'll show you where this is. And actually, this will be useful for later in the stream when we talk about the Schumann resonances in general. But this is the most unusual data I've ever seen. And in this video, we are going to break down the possible reasons why we're seeing this here, because this is, you could say, breaking news right now in the Schumann resonances world, the earth energy realm, all those over the spiritual realm, the awakening realm. A lot of people watch these energetic layers, and a lot of people use the space observing system in particular to do so. So when this pops up, it's a big whoa, what is this? So we're going to look at this data and really zoom into it. Oh man, I can't zoom into it. I do have a bookmark for it. So let me turn on my bookmarks here we go. Okay, there we go. There's the full screen data. I had to dig into the source code for this. But we're going to dive into the reasons why this is looking like this, go over the possibilities, and give everything fair treatment. Because none of us really knows what's happening here, but there are some principles that we can stand to, that we can stick with to understand this. So I know a lot of you are eager to have me talk about this. I've had a lot of comments on my latest video discussing this. I did release a post on this right after it happened. So for example, you could go to my post right there, or rather you could go to my channel, and if you go to community, you'll see these posts. And I made that right when this happened. I had some people email me, so if you missed that, click the notification bell and enable notifications for my channel, whatever you want to do. But there are a few possibilities as to what's happening here. The first possibility is that this is a crazy energy stream, unlike anything we've ever seen before in the Schumann resonances. That 0 to 40 plus hertz background electromagnetic spectrum. This is light energy. And we're going to talk about what the Schumann resonances are for some beginners or newbies that are here. Welcome to my channel. My name is Stefan. For everyone that's a regular, welcome back. And we will go into this. Some of my videos have been popping off, like how to read Schumann resonances data. So I know that there's some new people here, and that is great because you're about to enter into a very interesting world and realm of understanding about our planet and our consciousness and our health and wellness and our spiritual growth and evolution. And these are kind of a portal into it. So this could be an insane energy pattern that we're seeing. Or perhaps it's something like HARP or an ionospheric heater, a geophysical weapon perhaps, or maybe it's a technical glitch. And we'll go through all those and just outline the possibilities with all of them. So to start, this is not normal, and this, if you're new, you might not necessarily know what normal is. You can see a little bit of data here on the left. This is basically a spectrogram of electromagnetic data showing the intensity. So the white is more intense, blue is less intense, less powerful, less strong, and you see the frequency here 0 to 40 hertz. And then this is our time axis. So this is time in Tomsk, Russia. But to really give you a perspective of what the differences look like, here's some data from this winter. You can see it's December 28th, the 27th, 29th of 2022. This was when the northern hemisphere was tilted away from the sun during solstice. So you can see Tomsk was like in this shadow area. And what happens during the northern hemisphere winter is that the Schumann resonances get pretty weak. So you can see that they're very, very weak here, mostly blue. This is my deep blue video, and you can see the Schumann resonances there. So that's our 7.8 hertz foundational mode, 14 hertz, 20, 25. We even see a little faint trace of 33 hertz there, and that's about it. Now, we can look at some more normal Schumann resonances data with this data set here, and without the line. Here you can see that 7.8 hertz, 14 hertz, 20, 25, and just a little bit at 33. And you can see how they resonate and are stable over time. So they have higher intensity than these other frequencies, except when you get random electromagnetic bursts from unknown sources. Here we have a spheric that's created by lightning strikes interacting with the ionosphere. Some more spherics there. Some interesting background data sometimes shows up. And that's why people are really wondering what the heck is happening here, because this is unlike anything we've ever seen. This is not just the Schumann resonances. You can see this is like 3 hertz, and this is actually shifted up to like 7 or 6.5 hertz. This is not the normal Schumann resonances pattern. Now, what are the Schumann resonances? Let's do a little quick animation. Many of you have probably already seen this before. This is from NASA. Brilliant animation showing just effectively kind of what the Schumann resonances are. You have a lightning strike, and it creates these extremely low frequency light waves. So these have wavelengths similar or equal to the circumference of the Earth. And what happens is, because they don't attenuate that quickly, they hold on to their energy. They resonate with the Earth. And this waveguide, you can see that they propagate and survive and do very well. They don't die out like other frequencies that might interact with the planet, or like your cell signal, for example, which is such a high frequency, it attenuates out in just a couple hundred meters. 5G, that's why there's so many 5G cell towers, because it attenuates so quickly. So, but this doesn't die out normally. The Schumann resonances don't die out. They are ever persistent. We discovered them in the 50s, and just based on some basic geophysics and light physics, optical physics, it's likely that they existed since the really the beginning of the Earth and it having an atmosphere and an ionosphere. And actually, the ionosphere was further out, hypothetically, at the formation of the Earth. So the Schumann resonances would have been a what would it be? It would be a lower frequency as a result. But this right here is very, very odd. So what we're seeing is like these harmonic patterns and rhythms. And I mean, it almost looks like some sort of like light code or something. But the thing to know with the Schumann resonances is that because they are global, if we are having some sort of large global shift in the Schumann resonances, like we are seeing here, then they would show up like this at other monitoring stations. This is just a single monitoring station out of Tomsk, Russia. So if we look at VLF Open Lab, they have a number of monitoring stations here. I put these links in my video description. Some of you don't see that, I guess, and you ask comments of where I get this data. Well, this is where I get the data. Here is that right sidebar where you can access these different observatories. So we have Cumiana, Italy, which is popular right now with a few different groups. We have, let's say, France, and let's look at Canada. So we can go to our Cumiana, Italy data there. There's observation station. They have this long antenna there to capture vertical field information, and then they also have horizontal magnetometer coils there to capture the magnetic data. And if we look at our Schumann resonances, just for the past 8 hours here, we do see some activity. This could be industrial, this could be weather-based, but we don't see that crazy harmonic pattern. That's clearly not visible in this data here. And if we look here, we don't see that harmonic pattern going. I mean, if we go back, this is from 4 to 18 and 4, so that is about 30 hours or so of really insane data out of the space observing system, and we don't see 30 hours of that type of data out of Cumiana, Italy. What about the observation station in France? Well, we do. This is a 0.2 to 4 hertz. So if we go to our 0 to 50 hertz, we don't see that rhythmic pattern. We do see some activity in the magnetic field out of France. Of course, a lot of these areas are electropolluted. The reason why we like the space observing system is because it doesn't have that much electropollution from the power grid, etc. But we're not seeing that rhythmic pattern. If we go to Canada, this is a nice observation station. Not that much noise, as you can see here. This is the past 8 hours, and no rhythmic pattern. So because the Schumann resonances are that global phenomenon created from lightning strikes, there's about 100 lightning strikes every single second around the globe, and it creates light across a wide range of frequencies, all the way from near 0 hertz all the way up into the gamma ray band. But the Schumann resonances are the ones that persist because they resonate with the Earth. The foundational mode is equal to the circumference of the Earth at about 40,000 kilometers. So it has this natural resonance. So I don't think it's likely that this is some dramatic change in the background electromagnetic spectrum. But that does not mean I don't think it's significant. And we're going to go into that later. But I do want to clarify, I don't think that this is any unusual change. This website, the Space Observing System website, sosrff.tsu.ru, was down for about 24 hours before all of a sudden this showed up. So I don't know what was happening with them. I have had email communication with them before, but they haven't gone back to my most recent email asking for more information, things of that nature. So I've done what I can. We have had blackouts before in the past. We can look here. Where is that blackout graphic? We can look here and we can see that there was a long blackout in September, multiple days, and people were calling this like the resurrection of Christ and a whole bunch of things. And guess what? Life continued on. It was not the reckoning. But this station does every now and then have some technical glitches, it seems. So that is one possibility as well that we'll explore a little bit more. But another possibility is that perhaps this is some sort of HARP energy result, and that could be very localized. So you could have the Schumann resonances pulsating normally in, let's say, Canada or Italy, France, those places that we checked, but maybe there is some ionospheric heating experiments that are being done, and that's altering the Schumann resonances locally in Tomsk, Russia, and that's what we're seeing. And that there is, this is an odd pattern. What is this pattern here? Like, why does it look like this? There's clearly some sort of order in what we're seeing here. So there is HARP, and we'll go into HARP just a little bit to understand why perhaps, or why not perhaps, that this is related to HARP. HARP is a high-frequency active auroral research program. This was first started up in the 90s, maybe even a little bit before that. They started to play with ionospheric heating. Here is what HARP looks like. This is specifically, there's different HARP heaters. So you can see that there's different ones here. This is in Alaska, and then there's Norway has a few, Russia has some. And actually the one in Russia is located near Tomsk, which is interesting. But this is what it looks like. It's a whole bunch of antennas, and they shoot out high frequency electromagnetic radiation. They beam it up in like a flashlight almost. They beam it up to the ionosphere, which we can see here. They beam it up to the ionosphere, create a disturbance in the ionosphere. They ionize it to an even greater degree. They change the electromagnetic potentials of the ionosphere, and then that shoots waves, electromagnetic waves, up past the ionosphere and into along the magnetic field lines into the radiation belts, which then causes electrons and ions in the radiation belt to precipitate downwards into the ionosphere, and that changes the ionosphere even further, which then has the ability to alter the Schumann resonances. So we can look here and we can see HAARP there in Alaska heats up this region. There's some reflectance there off the ionosphere, but then these injected waves can go all the way up, way outside of the near Earth zone. I mean, this is what, 1.5 Earth radii away, 2 Earth radii away in this graphic. And then they can even be picked up again at a different point on the globe. So there is some people that believe that HAARP is a geophysical weapon that can be used to induce earthquakes and things of this nature. And I made a video on that. You can watch that. Look for this thumbnail there on my channel page. And I'm not saying that's not possible. We will get into the nuance a little bit more, but HAARP fundamentally, these ionospheric heaters, fundamentally alter the ionosphere, are able to change the actual radiation belt ion flux density, cause that energy to flow back towards Earth, and as a result, alter the Schumann resonances and other energetic layers of the planet. So HAARP is very, very interesting. It's also very concerning, I think. I don't think we should be doing any sort of experiments like this. One thing for you to know is that we've actually been doing this type of geophysical manipulation to the planet since we've had widespread power grids, because the magnetic fields that come off of the power grids pulsing at 50 hertz in Europe and Asia, or 60 hertz in North America and South America, they also will go up and cause a precipitation of electrons. And there is evidence from the early 1900s and then beyond showing that thunderstorm activity increased dramatically once power grid densities increased, because we were precipitating more electrons out of the radiation belts. And unfortunately, we don't have data on the radiation belts from before then, so we really don't know what they looked like beforehand. But this is effectively a visualization of what's happening with HAARP. This is lightning strikes, but HAARP does the same thing. It shoots these waves up into the radiation belt, and then that causes electrons and ions to precipitate down, and it can be directed to different parts of the globe depending on the angle and the frequency and all these things. And then what happens with normal lightning strikes here on Earth is that sweeps energy out of the zone called the L slot, which is in about 2.5 Earth radii away. So that's an area of low energy density. And then we have the first radiation belt there, the second one, sometimes there's 3. They can change and move and shift position. So lightning strikes do that. But HAARP also does that as well. And remember, lightning strikes are created by, or the Schumann resonances are created by lightning strikes. So there is a huge connection between all these different things. Lightning strikes, Schumann resonances, the radiation belts, the ionosphere, to alert currents, consciousness. It gets pretty wild. So HAARP has been shown to alter the Schumann resonances. There's some data here where they pulse the higher frequency wave that they use to heat up the ionosphere at like 3.04 megahertz or 4.57 megahertz, but they pulsed it at a Schumann frequency. They pulse at 8 hertz. And you can see here this big spike in 8 hertz energy, but you can see that this is in seconds right there. This is only in seconds. So this was a very, very quick increase. Or no, this is frequency here, but this is 1 minute duration. So this is a 1 minute snapshot that we're looking at. You can see that this power spectral density plot shows a big increase in 8 hertz energy as captured by a Schumann resonances monitoring coil that was located at HAARP. But this is just a 1 minute time span. And if HAARP is not active, it's not altering Schumann resonances, and it's just altering them locally. So I don't think that what we're seeing here is HAARP, though you can certainly share your thoughts and opinions and beliefs in the live chat. I'll get to some questions. We'll do a Q&A at the end of this video. So if you have any questions, please hold off on those.
Can you clean it up anymore in that fish?
I'm working on it.
What the hell?
Try zooming out. All right, freeze.
Reverse values.
Try zooming out again. Rotate 90 degrees counterclock.
My God.
Okay.
Wouldn't to make contact with another civilization.